And hello, welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. For NASCAR, our Brickyard 400, not our Brickyard 400, but the Brickyard 400. A crown jewel of NASCAR, whether you like it or not. We're going to talk about that. We're going to touch on IndyCar at Toronto, which for some reason they're racing at the same time as a race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval. Don't get that. No. And then we'll talk a little bit about Formula One. Oscar Piastri got his first career win, and cool. Max Verstappen did something, and I like to bully him. We're going to talk about that. But hi, Alex.
Hi, Zack.
Hey, what's going on? How's the YouTube channel doing, by the way? Our YouTube channel, how's it doing?
Yeah, our YouTube channel, we're growing. It's started doing video back in January. If you're not aware, if you're a listener, we do a video now. You can watch our funny faces.
And I'm not that pretty today. Alex is pretty, but I'm like,
thank you, Zack. So you can see our pretty faces, both of us. You're pretty, Zack. You look great.
Oh, you got me pretty.
You can see our pretty faces on YouTube, Gay Racing Pod. You can find us. We're only 30 subscribers from 300 on YouTube right now. We just passed 400 on TikTok. We never promote this at the start of the episodes. We know that's annoying, but if you want to help us out, we appreciate it. We also have a Patreon if you want to help support us.
At least you're not
Patreon.com/GayRacingPod. But we don't normally promote that stuff. So there's your one.
It is kind of annoying.
Thing. Yeah.
I hate podcasts that the episode starts and like, you can catch us on tour.
Zack, you want to go on tour?
Let's go on tour. Oh my God.
But yeah, appreciate if you want to support us on those places. But yeah, Brickyard 400.
It's really easy to find us, by the way. We're the only gay racing podcast, I'm pretty sure. So just find us. Brickyard 400, the return of the Brickyard 400. And I don't think we realized how big this moment was going to be until the weekend came. It felt like a really huge event this weekend, as it should. It felt so right being back on the oval, going to the road course. I get why they did it, but I think we learned some lessons from that. Right? We'll get into that as we talk about the race. But it was, expectations going into the race, they were a little mixed because some of us were like, "Oh, the next gen car, it might race better at the oval." But did it really? No. Is that okay? Kind of. If you ask me, and this is kind of, why did we go to the road course? Because NASCAR race really go on road courses. It made a lot of sense to go to the Indianapolis road course.
Yep.
But the Brickyard 400 has never really been about the racing. And I know that sounds really stupid. I promise I'm not just saying malarkey. Like, it's a race that's about execution, in my opinion. We've seen it over the years. The best teams in the sport come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They bring their fastest stuff.
And we saw that the entire race. The top 5, 6 in points were like 1 through 6 to 5.
Yes.
The entire
They qualified
day.
Up front, too.
Yep.
Yeah. And, the strategy calls, they were being made to, hey, this is what's going to put us in the best position to win, right? Because everyone there was to win the Brickyard 400. It's a big deal. It's a crown jewel race. And, it's a race about execution. It's not, you're not going to get what you get at the Daytona 500. You're not going to get that kind of racing, obviously. You're not even really going to get what you got at the Indy 500 either. It's stock cars at a flat, big oval, kind of like Pocono last week. It's just not conducive to the best racing. Now, with that being said, yesterday was probably worse than it needs to be. The next gen car sucks, but we still saw moments of, this is about execution. We saw the 5 team make a mistake on pit road. They had to go back and tighten their lug nuts. They had to overcome that. We saw Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski make pit line. The exit. What's it called?
Oh, blend line violations.
The blend line violations. I remember back in the day, the biggest speeding penalty in NASCAR history to me is Juan Pablo Montoya in 2009, dominating that race. Gets a speeding penalty on one of the final pit stops. This race is about doing everything perfectly, And it's hard. A stock car does not like going around Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It doesn't. It doesn't want to. It does not want to turn. Pit road is so narrow. You have to back it down right off turn 4. That's just part of the appeal to a lot of like kind of racing fans. That's what the Brickyard 400 is about to me. And winning it is a huge deal. As we saw
on top of that, the Brickyard 400 is at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There is so much history around that track. It is a sacred place, really, in terms of all of motorsport. So even if the race sucks, it is still special to win at Indianapolis. Like, no matter what, if you're racing that oval, you're doing something that is like illustrious for people to do. People want to win Indianapolis, and we just said best of the best were at their game because they want to win Indianapolis. Chase Elliott was furious over that penalty, primarily because he wanted to win Indianapolis. He wanted to bring the Brickyard 400. Ryan Blaney was furious at the end of the race because, again, it's a Brickyard 400.
He wants to win.
It is a crown jewel.
Yeah. Chase Elliott wants to go back to... I saw a little thing how Chase Elliott didn't kiss the bricks when his father Bill won it. He didn't kiss the bricks. Chase thought it was gross when he was a kid. So now it's like he needs to win now to kiss the bricks finally. So it's like, it's just little things like that. It's like when it's a story of who wins this race, it's just that kind of tells you how big of a deal it is, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
All of this to say, the Brickyard 400 being back feels so right. I'm so glad it's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're going to get into all the nonsense that happened at the end of this race.
A lot of nonsense.
But this was so nice to have back. This just felt like this is what we're meant to be doing at Indianapolis with the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yes.
We don't need to be on the road course. I'm glad they tried it. I understand.
I don't hate that they tried it. I get why they did it.
Me neither.
But I'm so glad that we learned from it. Like, that was something that we learned from. I think, if anything, this is a rebirth of the Brickyard 400, literally. Like, this made it even almost more prestigious because we realized, like, sometimes you don't realize what you have until you don't have it. It's one of those things. I think the Brickyard 400 falls under that category. And
Zach, we had a super intense race to the finish.
Honestly.
And we had so much varying strategies going on. The last, 20, 30 laps of this race were really good. The last restart before the overtime stuff. You had Brad Keselowski out there, who the booth was saying was not going to make it on fuel.
Yeah.
So it just seemed impossible. And he was leading. Ryan Blaney was eventually second. He was potentially a lap short or right at the end to run out.
I think Blaney
Kyle Larson
would have made it,
Yeah. And Kyle Larson restarted 23rd and was very good to go on fuel. Did not worry about fuel at all. And you had these 3 different strategies playing out. You're like, okay, Brad's probably going to pit. Blaney might be close on fuel, and there's a history of rough fuel saving situations with Blaney and the 12th team. And then you have Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick as well come in from the mid-20s on a track that's hard to pass on.
Dude.
And oh my gosh,
that run,
Kyle Larson coming through the field, making passes, just flying through these guys. Because Keselowski was trying to save all the fuel. He was holding up the whole field.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys like Blaney were also trying to save fuel. So no one was really going all out except for Larson and Reddick.
They backed the pace down. Like, they were barely reaching 180 on the straightaways, I think NBC showed. While in practice and full song, they were able to reach 200. So they were way backed off the pace. And it was still, yesterday it was obviously really hard to pass, as we've seen with the next-gen car at any single groove racetrack. Kyle Larson yesterday was passing the obviously huge strategy advantage. He's pushing, the other cars are not. Makes a difference. Still, though, he was making passes like he was in an Indy car.
Yeah,
he was
driving like an IndyCar driver.
It's like, did using lessons he learned in the month of May? Like, I'm not saying that's what happened, but like, he was so confident. Some of those passes were so aggressive. It almost made me think he's going in here knowing that he's basically giving the guy he's passing a choice. Either we're both going to wreck here or you're going to give me the inside. That's the choice he was giving them.
At one point, he really made that choice for Denny Hamlin. And again, that really intense rivalry they have going on.
I thought they were going to wreck.
I thought they were going to wreck too. I'm like, this is the moment. We've all been waiting for it.
Because he had to throw that car down in there so late. And it's a heavy stock car. It's not an Indy car. It's a heavy stock car, but he's Kyle Larson and he's making it work.
And
like that
and
was
mind
so
you,
entertaining.
Hamlin was on the same strategy as Blaney, so he wasn't going 100%.
Yeah.
But he knew that if the 5 car got around him, it's over.
He can't
Hamlin
win.
would not win that race.
Nope.
So Hamlin was doing all he could to keep the 5 behind him. And Kyle Larson, like you said, did such a great pass on Denny Hamlin. That, I think, was my favorite part of this last run of the race. It was so
Watching that 5
fun
car
to watch.
And the whole time, you don't know if what he's doing is going to get him the win. I mean, when that caution came out with like 3 to go, we didn't know. I mean, hell, we thought Brad might have enough fuel to make it. I think he would have. I think Brad Keselowski would have won that. Brad Keselowski won this race. I think that's what would have happened. But in that whole thing it just felt so right. Again, what we said, the Brickyard 400 is back. All these storylines, Brad Keselowski going for a second Brickyard win, first as a team owner, Blaney trying to sweep Indy for the captain, right? Do what Joseph Newgarden did. Kyle Larson, we'll get into, what this means to him. So many stories. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch back there. Literally, I think like 75% of the field could have won that race, and it's a huge story.
Yeah.
It really is.
For sure. And of course, Kyle Larson did end up winning this race. As I said, he came from 23rd on that last restart to get all the way up there past everyone, got up to the top 3. He did end up winning the race. And Zach, he's now won the Brickyard 400, the Coke 600, and the Southern 500. And he's only missing the Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
he's won a lot of big races.
He has. And he ran the Indianapolis 500 this year. I think for him to win in the year he attempted the Indy 500 for the first time. So
in that paint scheme, by the way, thank God they brought back that paint scheme. I was hoping they would do that. I was saying it for months. I'm so glad they did it. They should have, honestly, even if he did run the 600, I feel like they should have still ran that paint scheme anyways, right? I'm so glad they did it, and I'm so glad he got to win in it, right? Like,
so cool.
And to me, this is the biggest win of his career. I think this is a bigger deal than the championship. Wow. And the reason I say that is because of what Indianapolis means to Kyle Larson in his identity as a race car driver, right? The fact that he wants to win the Indianapolis 500, the fact that that's been kind of a childhood dream of his, right? It's a huge part of Kyle Larson's, I don't want to say life, but like a huge part of his identity as a race car driver, especially now that he's done the Indy 500. So winning the Brickyard 400, the return of the Brickyard, the same year that he did the Indy 500, that's a bigger deal. To me, that's just a bigger deal than him winning the NASCAR Cup Series championship. Because it's a part of the story that could make him one of the greatest of all time, right? If he can win the Indy 500 one day. It's a part of that story, something that's a little bit bigger to me than the playoffs and the Cup championship, right? And I say that obviously as a fan. I have the 124 of his championship win. Like, I just think it's a huge deal, and I think because it's Kyle Larson, because he did the Indy 500, winning the Brickyard's already a big deal. If you're someone like Jamie McMurray in 2010, winning it for an IndyCar owner as Chip Ganassi, that's a huge deal, right? But being Kyle Larson in the context of what he's done at the 500 or what he's did at the 500 this year, it just multiplies it by like unexplainable amounts.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know if people would agree with what I said, but yeah.
I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. I don't think a lot of people will agree with you, but you are a fan of his.
A lot of NASCAR fans.
You've been a fan of his. Yeah. And you've been a fan of his since he was in the 42 car. So, I mean, you've been there for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of goes in my next question for you, Zach, is Joseph Newgarden won the Indy 500 and Kyle Larson wins the Brickyard 400. You and I were both there at the Indy 500. Now that you've been to IMS, does this mean like more to you? Is that why you're saying that as well? Because like you get kind of what IMS is.
I knew he was going to win at Indy. I just got the race wrong.
Yeah. You were off by a couple months.
I mean, it's great to be me, right? Both my drivers won the biggest races at the speedway. I mean, it definitely means a little bit different now because I always knew what the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was, but I definitely have more respect for it now because it's just because I guess I've just become more educated on the Indy 500 too. I think that's what a lot of NASCAR fans kind of miss. Like they don't realize that the Indy 500 is motorsports itself. Like it's why we're able to run in circles every Sunday, kind of like. So it definitely feels special. It feels really special, and I kind of talked about why to Kyle Larson, right? To me as a fan, I mean, this racetrack obviously means a lot to Kyle. I can tell that. It means a lot to everybody, Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can really add. Like, yeah, it's a special racetrack. Yeah. It's a special win. And for both my drivers, not only just do it, but they did it in very flashy fashion. Like they were they were aggressive. Joseph's last lap pass on Pato. I saw a tweet where Larson passed, I think, Briscoe on the outside going into 3 for one of the positions. And I think someone said that's just what Newgarden did, but in slow motion.
I think you said that and you texted it to me.
I said, yesterday I said that he's passing like Joseph Newgarden right now.
Yeah.
He thinks Kyle Larson thought he was at the Indy 500 yesterday, by the way. I'm pretty sure he thought, and that's kind of, again, why it's so special. It's like the way he was able to, it's an art to drive a stock car around that place, man. It's just, I could talk about the Brickyard for an hour. I could. I honestly could.
We might end up doing that. What else we got to talk about, unfortunately?
Zack, we gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up.
Yep, exactly.
Shut up.
Exactly. So let's talk about it. Overtime, in my opinion, ruined a great finish. I don't think, however, it ruined the race. The first, 398 miles or whatever were spectacular, actually. Like to watch and the vibes, right? The actual race product was not great, right? But the vibes were like through the roof. About. Exactly. It's Indianapolis. It's all about vibes, honestly, for NASCAR at least.
It's about vibes, at least this year, definitely.
Yeah. At least. I don't know about next year. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know.
But for me, overtime, come on.
It felt like the Daytona 500 that we got this year and last year. All the Daytona 500s that get ruined by overtime. It felt exactly like that, which definitely, I think this is less of a. I feel like people are blaming there's a whole storm on Twitter today about like why do we race here? Like all of the drama that happened.
It's not Indianapolis's fault.
It's kind of like all the drama that happened at the first road course race with the curbs coming off. I'm like, this is not the track's fault. Like,
no, like y'all just don't know how to drive here. Sorry.
Yeah, like, so what's the first thing? Kyle Busch. Oh my God. He actually was about to get a great finish.
Mm-hmm.
He was battling Denny Hamlin for the 5th spot, but that wasn't enough for him. He was like, you know what? I've wrecked 5 out of the last 7 races. Let's make it 6.
Yeah.
Literally, he needs to retire. I think he needs to retire. I'm done. I'm over.
Literally, 6th place would have been like a win for that 8 team.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing, Kyle?
I get it. I get why he would go for that position because he's a racer. He wants to get as much as he can.
Like, surely Denny Hamlin wouldn't wreck anybody. He's never done that.
I see what you're doing. But Kyle Busch, this was just kind of embarrassing. Like, he's a racer. I get it. But it's also like,
this happened at Kansas. He wrecked at Kansas to bring out the caution. Didn't he do it somewhere else too?
I think he did it somewhere else too. How many times is he going to wreck this year? Like, seriously. He's
do it. He wrecked somewhere else late to bring out a caution. Oh my God.
But I think he's overdriving this car and it's not able to give what he wants it to. So he's just crashing, right? Or he gets crashed by someone and is bad luck.
Oh,
But it's like, come on, you had to ruin this finish.
really?
Oh, it was so frustrating.
Yeah. So I hate Kyle Busch. Sorry. If you're a Kyle Busch fan, I apologize. I'm sorry. I hate him. I'm over him. He needs to retire. He needs to join Joe Biden and go retire and do whatever. I don't know.
Do what's best for the country, right?
He needs to go sip on some coconuts. I don't know.
Be unburdened by the 8 car, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So Kyle Busch crashes. And by the way, Zack had a very funny tweet that was like, these will be the cautions in this race. It was like Kyle Busch, Harrison Burton,
Jimmy Johnson,
Corey LaJoy, and Jimmy Johnson. And
Corey LaJoy,
the one who did not crash.
I think he finished like 15th yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Everyone else wrecked. So.
Of all of them to not wreck, it was Corey, which I find hilarious.
Yeah.
So then they go to overtime, right? And then Brad Keselowski does run out of fuel on that restart. And I was like, okay, that's on the
not even on the it's actually like right before, like off turn 4. So
he moves out of the way and Kyle Larson moves up a row and people are mad. For me, I don't think Kyle Larson did anything wrong.
Well, no.
No. Should NASCAR have waved off the restart? I don't know.
I don't think they've ever done that before.
I don't think they've ever done that. And it's
when
like
a car peels off to go to pit road last minute, they've never waved off the restart.
Yeah. Like, I feel like after Nashville, it's like, fuel mileage is a thing. Like, that's a very it's a possibility. Someone might run out of fuel in front of you. And that might happen. But Brad was nice enough to get out of the way to not cause a crash, right?
I'm guessing the car was stumbling as he came off turn 4. I'm thinking if he had fuel in the pickup, I think they said something like that today, but if he had fuel in the pickup going down the front stretch, then all of a sudden Larson's the one at the disadvantage, right? So it's just one of those weird things, right?
Yep. And by the way, I didn't say it in the original segment. If Brad Keselowski would have won this race, like, we don't have overtime, and he wins it because that yellow comes out for Kyle Busch, that would have been such a cool story, in my opinion. Because, like, no one thought he was going to make it on fuel. But yet, he does.
It'd be like one of those Indy 500s, like Rossi at the 500.
Yeah. It would have been really cool. He would have been his second, right?
Yeah, second. 400. And that would have been a huge deal, to be honest.
Yeah, especially when he's driving for himself now. Like, it would have been a big story. But I digress. And the Kyle Larson jump there, I don't really care either.
Well, actually, can we talk about that, though? Because so the rule is, apparently, since Brad was the control car, but then he peels off, I assume the rule was that the 5 car was in the control car because he just took the place of the 6. Like, I think at the start of a race, if the pole sitter pulls off, everyone in the lane moves up, and then I think that whoever pulls up is now the control car. I might be wrong. That's what I assumed. I don't know. My thing is, the NASCAR said that the 12 is the control car. Now, did the 5 go before the 12? It was close. Does it really matter? Kind of. But the 12 still beat the 5 into turn 1 anyways. I think, Alex, I think that's why you don't really care about it. Because, like, the 12 is still on the outside anyways. Like, he was at the disadvantage.
Like, this was just a racing incident.
It was a freak
with fuel mileage. It's like
the 6 car ran out at the worst possible time for the 12. And it sucks. I get it. Yeah. I don't know if you can change anything about it.
They have a big crash in turn 1 because, of course, they did. That's what we do in NASCAR overtime. And then we go to a second overtime. They had a long red flag, by the way. They got bumped off NBC.
Oh, God, that sucked. That was the moment where I'm like, this race is ruined. When they bumped it off of NBC,
people were not agreeing with me on this on social media, but I think it was warranted. There was big breaking news. You all know what it was. And like that's fine. Yeah. I understand why they would do that, right? Like, it's fine. So, but they do that, and it's because NBC doesn't know when this race is going to end. It could end in 10 minutes. It could end in an hour. That's why I said after Nashville, I said we should have a clock to determine when this race is over and over. I think that way the network would be like, okay, it's overtime. We have 15 minutes or whatever. Go. Okay. We didn't make it. Okay. We're going off the air. This person won. Bye. And then problem solved. And if you have a red flag, then it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's how I would do it.
Well, it's also a slight argument of, we used to kind of argue on here, should we have overtime at all? Because a lot of times it adds an unnecessary hour to the race and it wrecks like 20 cars.
And see, my personal opinion is no, but my compromise is let's have a little timer. So one, you can still have your unlimited overtimes, but it's in a certain amount of time.
Then it actually makes sense to call it overtime. Wait.
Yes, exactly.
This race got to finish in the next 10 minutes. That could get a little ugly, though.
I know. There's NASCAR race control would make some.
And then even with limited, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Because in 2015 Talladega, that's the thing.
Like yesterday, I'm just like, yes, I get. I want to see a restart, but also,
it doesn't
Brad
need to finish
Keselowski won the Brickyard for 100.
Yeah, a race doesn't have to finish under green for it to be a good race.
They should have just did what they did at the 500. Just put them down pit road and do a 1-lap shootout. I wouldn't hate that.
I don't know.
They got to do the choose and everything. So
yeah. So they go to a second overtime, and Ryan Preece spins.
I'm shocked.
And
to be fair, he got ran over by Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott just ran him over.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this happens, and then NASCAR does not, because Preece spun out on turn 2. NASCAR does not throw the caution until Kyle Larson takes the white flag. Then they throw the yellow. And in my opinion, I posted this on social media as well. People, the timeline was not agreeing with this. They wanted another restart. I said NASCAR made the right call because at least now we're not going to sit here for another 40 minutes.
That's true. I was ready for that race to end, obviously.
Yes. Because we just had a 17-minute red flag. We got bumped off network for no reason.
This is a Blaney fan saying this, by the way. This is a Blaney fan saying this.
I don't even think Blaney was robbed from this race. I think Kyle Larson was a deserving.
In no world does Blaney win this race. If there's no overtimes, Keselowski wins it. If there's overtimes, Larson wins it. I mean, that's how I see it.
I have a giant Blaney flag behind me. I don't.
Another restart would have not helped Blaney. He was still going to be on the outside. There's no way.
Well, he was probably going to run out of fuel.
That too. He was going to run out before the 5. So, if anything, take y'all second place finish and get out of here.
Yes. Y'all remember Nashville? We almost finished 25th there. I know we finished 6th or something after all that, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then a lot of people were saying that NASCAR gifted this win to Kyle Larson. And again, I think that is ridiculous.
It's a little ridiculous.
Larson earned it by going from 23rd, passing everyone. And then, he won. I think he was probably going to win that race if it went green rest of the way.
Yeah.
It would have been hard. He only had 3 laps.
If anything,
get around both Blaney and Brad.
The only one who gifted this win to Kyle Larson was Brad Keselowski.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
definitely.
I mean, to be honest, which, again, freak thing. It happens. Yep. Brad, obviously, I think Brad probably would rather Ryan Blaney win than Kyle Larson. He didn't do it on purpose. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about when Brad ran out of fuel?
Yeah.
I was even going to say, I
don't think
even
NASCAR handed this, because again, even if they have another restart, no one's passing the 5. And now, I do see why people are upset. I don't blame people being upset because that was a little... if it's not a caution, well, I don't know, because the 41, he tried to get going. He was off the track, but then he tried to get going and he got stuck on the track because his tires were flat and this car was made by not smart people and it's stuck. Remove the diffuser. Apparently they're going to, this is off topic. Not really. At Richmond, they're going to have some kind of jack thing that's going to jack the rear of the car up.
Oh,
when
I didn't know that.
Beached, but it has to be activated by a truck, a safety truck. So it doesn't really fix the issue.
Gotcha.
It's just stupid that the 41 couldn't drive off there. Then this wouldn't be a problem because he tried driving off. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's
But
just stupid.
I don't have much else to say about it. This race,
I mean,
like the last.
It is BS. It is BS. I can call out the BS. I can understand why people are upset.
But again, all of this from the Blaney, getting screwed, if you want to call it that, with Brad running out of fuel and Larson jumping on the restart, if you want to call it that. Then the second one, pre-spinning out, and then Larson taking the white, and they get through the yellow after the white. None of that is a problem if there's no overtime. None of it.
You're right.
There's no controversy, and either Keselowski wins this race on a crazy fuel mileage save, or Kyle Larson gets by both Blaney and Keselowski if Kyle Busch doesn't wreck.
Yep.
And both of those are very compelling storylines.
Yep.
But we don't get either because we have NASCAR overtime, which is, in my opinion, far beyond ready to go. It needs to go, but it will not. That's why I have my compromise, and I told you all my thoughts.
Well, you know what's interesting, Alex? Because just a few weeks ago, the Nashville episode, I believe I was saying that I don't want to get rid of overtime. I don't remember I don't remember what your opinion was on it.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, it's funny because there is a major difference of having overtime at the Ally 400 at Nashville than to have overtime at the Brickyard 400. Well, it's a major difference. And it's like my opinion has kind of flipped back to what it was at like the Daytona 500 like last year, where it's just like, I don't want overtime anymore. Right? Because this is not the race where we can just clown around.
It's diminishing the prestige of the race.
Yep. And so it's like, and speaking of Nashville, I guarantee that what happened at Nashville impacted the officiating of the overtimes yesterday. I guarantee. I don't think they wanted to have another Nashville type situation.
At Nashville, when pre-spun into at Indy, if Nashville doesn't happen, they would have that yellow flag out ASAP. Oh, yeah. It's like, another restart. Yay, yellow. No.
That was a good voice. Was that Mickey Mouse? Was that Mickey Mouse calling the shots up there? That was Mickey Mouse calling the shots up there. Oh my God.
Well, some people would say Mickey Mouse was up there for a lot of reasons because there were some blend line violations. We kind of touched on it earlier.
That honestly might have been the most BS part of the race. And there was a lot of BS in this race.
For me, I have a lot of hot takes apparently. Because for me, I think NASCAR did not make a wrong call here. Like, I understand the rule should probably be more clear.
I think
Chase Elliott was deserving. Chase Elliott was definitely deserving.
No, I agree.
He was on the racetrack.
Yeah, I agree. I think the issue comes where it sounds like NASCAR did not communicate it very well, because the 9 team was claiming that, or at least Chase was claiming that he did it exactly what was described as being allowed.
Right.
Which Bob Pockris tried to show us what NASCAR sent to the teams, but NASCAR's little video cuts out where Chase
cuts out the part.
Yeah, cuts out where Chase actually got the penalty. So we have no idea. Yeah. Does it surprise me that NASCAR might miscommunicate something like that? No, it doesn't. I remember on.
Have y'all ever watched NASCAR?
I remember on DBC once Freddie Kraft said something like NASCAR was like, they kept changing rules in the middle of a week. Like it was about like Chicago in this one corner. I don't know. So I mean, yes, Chase should have gotten penalized, but it sounds like that they didn't communicate it very clearly. I saw a video on Twitter from the 2020 Brickyard 400 where someone, I think it was Logano, he did exactly what Chase did and didn't get penalized. So now my opinion on it is, why the hell there's clearly a lane that the Indy cars have to use, right? Mm-hmm. That you have to stay in as you're going back. You can't even cross the first white line. What Chase Elliott did, he crossed the first and the second white line. Apparently the rule was yesterday that you're allowed to cross the first white line. Why? Just keep they can stay in between the first white line. They'll be okay. Or at least keep your left sides on it. I think that's the rule in IndyCar. You have to keep the left sides on it. I'm not sure. Like, it's just it's like the track limit rules at all the road courses. It's just like, let's just be normal for a minute. Let's just be normal. Okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think it's as big of a deal as like what Chase Elliott was making it out to me. But as I said earlier, he was very mad because this is the Brickyard 400. You know?
I think it's on NASCAR. It sounds like they didn't.
Oh, definitely.
I don't put it. I feel bad for the 9 team. That's kind of how I feel about it. I don't think they really made a.
Yeah.
They didn't make a mistake. They just. I don't know how to describe it. They just kind of.
Yeah.
They didn't know the rules. It sounds like.
Yeah.
They got told the wrong thing. I don't know.
Well, after that, let's take a look at the points. Do you have that ready, Zach?
I do. And we're not
Look at you
blocking Todd
go.
Gilliland this week.
Yes.
Our bestie.
All right.
He was running up front yesterday, man.
He was.
Yeah.
And by the way, Todd Gilliland is about to pass Kyle Busch in points. You see how close that is?
Yeah.
Kyle Busch
Where
is minus
did Todd finish
112.
yesterday?
Todd Gilliland is minus 118. I'm not sure. You can look that up.
How did he not finish? He finished 6th. Because he restarted like 3rd on that one restart.
Cool. But yeah, Todd Gilliland's about to surpass Kyle Busch in points, if you're wondering how that's going. But Kyle Larson...
He said if you're wondering how that's going.
Kyle Larson is the first driver with 4 wins on the season. And by the way, the regular season championship is not on the graphic we have up for our video watchers, but Larson has a 10-point lead over Chase Elliott. Tyler Reddick is 15 back, and Denny Hamlin's 43 back. We still have a really cool regular
Tyler Reddick's
season
on a run, dude.
championship battle. And you get bonus points for how you finish regular season. So that's definitely going to matter. But looking at the cut line there, Martin Truex Jr. crashed twice in this race, one time by Ross Chastain, allegedly. I don't remember what the replay was, but but Truex is 108 up. Ty Gibbs had an engine issue or something go wrong. He's only 42 up. Chris Buescher also had an engine issue. He's only plus 17 now. Yeah. Really tightening up.
It's tight. Bubba had a great day yesterday winning that stage.
Yeah.
And top 5 finish.
And this is all over how far ahead they are of Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is minus 7 behind Ross Chastain, who is plus 7. Yeah. Briscoe's minus 83. Bubba Wallace, man, they've really come alive here these past few weeks, and they've made up so many points. Just a few weeks ago, they were minus 53. I believe it was after Chicago or before Chicago. They were minus 53.
Yeah, before Pocono and Indy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, looking at this, I don't think Ty Gibbs feels safe anymore.
No.
Chris Buescher's got to be pretty nervous.
They're in the battle now. And,
yep.
You look at Bubba Wallace, and he's going to Richmond, where he ran really well. Chris Buescher, of course, won there last year. So, it's going to be an absolute dogfight these last few weeks. And we talk about new winners. Who's going to be a new winner? It's going to have to happen at Daytona.
Yeah.
You know what
Daytona.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to have to happen at Daytona.
I feel like if we have a new winner, and I said this a few weeks ago, it'll be one of the 4 that have not won. Or Bubba Wallace now, exactly. I would say. Possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think this is our battle. I think this, and even if it's not the battle, even if the cut line moves up 1, then, Bubba's still very much within reach of Chris Buescher. So
I think
definitely. The question is, these guys are going to be fighting for the last spots. We just don't know how many. We don't know if it's 1 spot or 2 spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, we'll move on to the T. And Zach, you wanted to talk about what might be, or sounds like it'll be Rick Allen's final Cup race, because the reports are that Lee Diffie will be taking over after the Olympics. We do have a 2-week break coming up. What did you think of Rick Allen's final potential Cup Series call?
Thank God he's gone.
Yeah?
He absolutely... I mean, the moment was already kind of ruined because NASCAR didn't know how to officiate their race. Rick Allen? Oh my God. What? All right. So y'all know, I know y'all been watching races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right? That iconic camera angle that's panning as the car is going down the front stretch, and it meets it kind of, straight on as it crosses the yard of bricks. Then the camera pans up and zooms in on the flagman, right? You've seen it. Every single race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Every single race. That's the camera angle, right? Number one, and I'll get to the as he crosses the line. As the caution came out, as Larson's in turn 2, the caution comes out, and Rick Allen starts saying, Kyle Larson has won the Brickyard 400. Okay, Rick, he still has to make it. As a sports commentator, you can't say that because he hasn't won it yet. He has to get to the checkered flag. He could run out of fuel. You don't know. It's just, it feels inappropriate to say that, you know? And then as Larson comes off turn 4, and as that iconic camera angle, you know, capturing the 5 car, crossing the yard of bricks, Jeff Burton's talking. During this very historic, iconic moment for the 5 car, the Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year, as he wins the Brickyard 400, Jeff Burton is talking about some nonsense. I don't even know what he was talking about. I don't even remember. That's when Rick Allen needs to be going, like, after not getting to run the double, he comes back, racing redemption at his hands, the wheel, whatever he wants to say. Kyle Larson wins the Brickyard 400. Zoom in on the flagman. There you go. He butchered it. Mm-hmm. He was letting Jeff Burton talk. He said the moment too early. He was yelling. He was annoying. I'm over him. I'm so glad he's gone. Lee Diffie would have done that moment justice. I hope the Brickyard's on NBC next year. I don't think it will be. It's giving TNT or Amazon or TNT, I guess. But
maybe TNT.
And then Rick also said he just made something up, as he does. He said, as Larson parked the car on the bricks, Rick Allen claimed that was a tradition that Dale Jarrett started, parking the car on the bricks. No. He got that confused with kissing the bricks. And Brock Beard, last car on Brock pointed this out. That's not true. That's not true. Dale Jarrett did not invent parking on the bricks. So that was a great example of why I'm just kind of over Rick Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of respect for him, but I'm over him. He ruined that moment. That was not a good call to the finish. Yeah, I don't know if it's better or worse than how Mike Joy is like asleep when anyone wins the Daytona 500, but I don't know. I'm kind of over it.
I am so excited to have Lee Diffie calling cup races. He's going to.
He should have been there yesterday. Down. Why the hell was he not there yesterday? I don't care if he's traveling to Paris. I think
care. I think he got a week off before he calls the Olympics for the next 2 weeks.
So he can catch up on his beauty sleep.
Yeah, girl. He's Lee Diffie.
Beautiful. I love him. He's my great hall pass. If I ever get married one day, Lee Diffie's my hall pass.
Okay. But okay. Good for you.
Then. Anyways, moving on.
If for real though, if that is Rick Allen's last cup race, I sometimes do think he is a bit overhated, but he's not the best. I think he
needs to go back to trucks. He needs to be like those NASCAR drivers. Go back to trucks. He needs to go back to
I would love that because the truck series is like awful. I think that would really
make
help.
Me care about the truck series.
He was in his element down there. So
he can't be called. He's so annoying. And
so he started doing the and thing because people were like, around goes or aggressive.
And around, well, that was annoying too. He needs to mix it up. He can use and, around, problems.
Yeah. He stopped doing that, just replaced it all with and I don't know why. But anyway.
He can do what Rusty Wallace did. I'll tell you what, these cats are flat flying around here at the Daytona 500, the Indianapolis 500. I'll tell you what. That's me if I was in the booth.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach. The driver of Haas Factory team was announced, and unsurprisingly, it's Cole Custer.
Yay, I'm so excited for him to bring the 00 car to the Cup Series.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, the 00 is not coming back.
What do you mean?
They're going, the Haas Factory team number will be the 41. Yeah.
That don't make no damn sense. It kind of makes sense because like the 41 was always like Gene's car at Stewart Haas Racing.
Yeah.
Do they realize that that's still kind of Tony's number? It's just the 1 in the 4, the AJ 14. It's just the 1 in the 4, and they flipped it around. That's not actually your number, Gene.
I'm curious if they're going to keep that font because it's also like a font.
It would kind of piss me off if they didn't keep the font, because then it's like, well, why are you keeping the 41 then?
Right.
If you wanted your own identity, if only there was a number y'all ran when y'all first started cup racing. That's a very unique number. That's iconic to Cole Custer, a number that he won the championship in the Xfinity Series. Like,
imagine if he brought the current Xfinity scheme up to Cup with him.
That's all you needed to do.
That would have been so cool.
Because we know damn well it's going to be Haas Automation slapped on the hood at the Daytona 500. Like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? That makes me so mad. This episode sucks. So much bad news. This is the worst day ever.
Well, it's going to get better, Zach, because we're about to talk about IndyCar.
Oh my God! Hey, guess who won? Colton Herta! This is the worst day of my life. Oh my God! I might need the crime towel. This is horrible.
It's okay, Zach. Yeah, we're done with the tea.
That was a horrible cup of tea.
Oh, spit that out. It was bad.
Nasty. Oh my God.
But we're going into IndyCar. As I said, Colton Herta, or as you said, Zach, Colton Herta won. He ended a 40-race winless streak.
It was a grand slam. I think he won every practice session, qualifying, and the race. I don't think he led every lap, but that's not to be expected.
I mean, good for him on not crashing.
Credit where credit is due. He dominated a race at a street course. He didn't hit a wall. He didn't make a mistake. There were restarts at the end. A lot of restarts at the end. So,
yeah. I
Credit
think pre-hybrid, I bet Kyle Kirkwood gets around him.
I was thinking about that. I don't know. I don't
know either, but I do think...
I almost wonder if it wasn't Kyle Kirkwood behind him. If it's Scott Dixon behind him, for example. With more experience, and also, Kyle Kirkwood in the position he's in, he doesn't want to wreck his teammate when Andretti has not won all year. You know what I mean? Or like risk getting into his teammate, So that's something I wonder. I doubt that really had an effect. You're probably more right on if it wasn't hybrid. If these cars were 100 pounds lighter, Kyle Kirkwood maybe has a better chance to get around the 26.
Yeah. And so at the end of this race, there was a really crazy crash again.
Yeah.
Just like Iowa, a car went upside down. This time with Santino Ferrucci. They had a bit of a stack up. Pato Award is thankfully okay. He was kind of stuck middle of the track.
Like he got spun. I think he just spun going into this like really tight corner.
Yeah.
And it was stuck against the wall.
And several cars like went over the front of his car, and then Santino came in and just was like really a lot wider than everyone else and went straight over and flipped.
Yeah, like launched off. He launched off the front of Pato's car and like hit the catch fence, which the fencing did a really good job, and he landed on his roof.
Thankfully, everyone was okay. Pato said he's thankful for the aero screen, but criticized IndyCar by saying that they need to throw the yellow flag sooner,
as he should. Yep.
Yeah, and there is a video of this crash where someone's in the background, a track official, waving a green flag as there's literally a car upside down.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
A green flag? They're waving a green flag?
Yeah.
Boogity, 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 boys!
I don't know if it was someone at IndyCar or if it was a media person, but someone said that that the physical flags are not the same as like the technology, like the digital. It was like a yellow flag was out,
like a full course yellow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that.
But still, Pato was saying that they need to do a local yellow flag a lot sooner.
Yeah,
and they did not do that.
I hope he goes to someone important and bitches about it, because he should.
And he's been very vocal about the state of the series.
He needs to be very vocal about it.
Yeah,
because that could have he could have gotten hurt.
I would say Pado's the biggest star of the series, so his voice is very crucial, especially in the current state of the series.
I mean, he's sitting there sideways, and I hate to get this like graphic, but open wheel car sideways, we've seen drivers die in like the FIA, like the Formula One feeder series last few years from incidents just like that. You know, like that whole situation is unacceptable. There should have been yellow, like, because those drivers were going in full speed, not knowing. They went in full speed. Like, that is unacceptable. We can't have that. They need to figure out what happened and how does that not happen again. I feel bad for Pato and for Santino, everyone involved, because that did not need to be a huge wreck. But we can't just wreck like that in IndyCar. I don't know.
And then lastly, last little point we have in IndyCar, Will Power put Scott McLaughlin into the wall, apparently. I missed this. I was watching NASCAR when this happened.
I don't know what
Scotty got out of his car, and when they came back around, Scotty gave him a little round of applause. I love when drivers do that. Like, good job!
And that was for like 4th place, too. That was for like 4th place. And yikes. Like... and it was hard to pass. It was kind of, you got to get aggressive, but...
And that's big on the championship, because Power was minus 34 going in. He was ahead of Palou. I'm assuming it was like, I need to get a spot between me and Palou. I'm assuming is what the situation was. Or maybe Palou was ahead. I
think Palou was right behind them.
I think that's what it was.
I mean, Palou ended up finishing 4th, so I think
Power ended up getting an avoidable contact penalty.
As he should.
For that, so he ended up falling back. And then McLaughlin used that applause gif on Twitter several times, which I find
like 10 times. He tweeted it 10 times with different kind of memes. So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to meme it before you guys do." I feel like it's like that one tweet that was like, "No, I'm not mad."
Who told you
I'm not mad at all?
Well, someone who is mad but will not admit it is Lando Norris, because Formula One, the Hungarian Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri got his very first win, but it didn't come without some controversy because Lando Norris was told to let him by McLaren. And wow, Oscar Piastri.
So what happened with the team orders? Like, literally, is there context I'm missing? Like, I didn't watch the race. You didn't.
I was following along on Twitter, so I was too lazy to pull up a stream or whatever in my bed.
So you don't know, like, what happened? Like,
no.
Like, why did they?
I think they were preferring Oscar in this race. I don't know.
I heard that there was some issue earlier that they like messed Oscar up. So they were trying to they had, I don't know. NASCAR fans were complaining about team orders, which, sure, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing is that Lando thinks he still has a chance at the championship against Verstappen. And the way Verstappen's driving, maybe he does. I don't know.
I feel like that's kind of a misplay on McLaren. Like, they might regret this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the standings look like, but...
Yeah.
Did you see that little video of Lando in the cooldown room? I think I sent it to you. Lewis, who finished 3rd. Great job, Lewis. He's in the Slay era again. Lewis told Lando, "You guys are fast," and then Lando was just like, "Oh, well, you had a fast car a few years ago." So, blah, blah, blah.
I did not watch this. What? No.
I'm pretty sure I sent it. Like, Lando thought Lewis was being, like, offensive when Lewis was just complimenting him. Lando thought Lewis was saying that you only were up there because your car was fast. Like, Lando, the call's coming from inside the house. Like, Lando's like, I'm only... Like, Lando, like, he's insecure about it. So he thought Lewis was calling it out. But no, Lewis was just saying, like, good job. Yeah. But Lando was like, yeah... Well, you did a good job too, so don't be telling me a good job. I don't know.
Weird. Well, speak of Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen and Hamilton got together again, and Verstappen went airborne.
F1's trying to get us to watch again. They're like, "Oh, y'all love 2021? All right, we got you."
And Zach, you told me before we recorded that I guess Crofty was saying that Verstappen stayed up the night before to do an iRacing 24-hour event and was potentially criticizing Max for that.
Yeah, like he kept mentioning it during the broadcast, and I saw a lot of people in the iRacing Reddit get really like irritated with Crofty, the way he was talking about it. I think it's an interesting little debate though, because I'm like, if you're Max Verstappen and if you're staying up late, 3 a.m. apparently, to do this iRacing event, which I believe, I don't know if his team won. I'm not actually sure. But you know, he did something similar at Imola, the Imola weekend. That might have been the Nürburgring 24 hours on iRacing. That Imola weekend, Max did that the same weekend and then won an F1 race the same day. Pretty cool, right? So I think it's fair to criticize Max because I mean, obviously his day job is, you know, driving the fastest car. Well, driving the championship leading car in Formula One. He's the championship points leader, going for 4 straight titles. Maybe, yes, he has points lead is like, what's his points lead? His points lead is like, it's under 100 points. It's only 76 point lead.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, Max. I don't know if that's responsible. And that's kind of like where maybe Crofty's coming from. And maybe where other people are coming from. What do you think?
I just think Max Verstappen doesn't care. I don't think Max Verstappen cares.
No.
I don't really care either. However,
I don't think Max cares because I think Max thinks he has his championship locked up, which I don't know if he should feel like that.
Well, the way he's running, this is the longest stretch of races he hasn't won since 21.
Yeah. And if Lando won yesterday, man, that's like 7 points he would have had on Max. That he would be, yeah. I mean, I think McLaren made a misplay with that, but I don't know.
If he loses by 7 or less points, then
that's gonna look really bad. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's definitely I think the criticism's fair. Now for the incident with Lewis Hamilton, I don't know. It looks like Max drove it in too hard and locked his brakes up.
He's not good at having to race other people.
He's not good. He does not have good racecraft, apparently. I think it's because he hasn't raced anyone in 3 years. He went 2 whole seasons without racing anybody.
Well, with that, I think we're done because there's no fantasy because NASCAR, IndyCar are both off.
I think we definitely need this weekends. Everyone, I think, especially all the negativity surrounding NASCAR at the Brickyard, I think everyone needs a break.
Log off. Drink some coconut juice. You'll be okay.
I'll be watching the Olympics, playing video games, and
yeah. I'll have the Olympics on. That'll be nice.
Lee Diffie will be calling track. So, yeah. I think that's only the back half of the Olympics is when the track events are. So,
yeah. Zach, you and I might have like a little bonus episodes during the break. We might not. I don't know. We've talked about ideas, but I at least have one thing.
I have one thing recorded. I think we should do the one thing you were talking to me about, the IndyCar thing. So, yeah. We'll definitely probably have at least 2.
If you like early access to those, patreon.com/gayracingpod. They'll be there before YouTube. I don't know if they'll be on audio. This bonus stuff we're talking about, if they'll be on
probably not or not. But most of it, well, I don't know.
We'll see. But yeah.
If not, it'll be on our YouTube.
Oh yeah, for sure. And by the way, like I said earlier, we're almost 300 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty crazy. We just started the video stuff in January.
By the way, congrats, Alex, on the correct winning fantasy pick for NASCAR. You picked Kyle Larson.
I did pick Kyle Larson for fantasy. Yeah. And
I completely forgot about that. That's how big of a deal this was to me, that Larson won. I completely forgot you had him picked.
You kept messaging me saying, like, I don't even care about fantasy. You said something like that.
I don't. This is the Brickyard 400, man.
Yeah. I think you said, why do you have to pick Kyle Larson? I want him to win so bad. I think that's what you said.
Yeah. It's all right. But, you only have a 2-point lead. I'll get it.
Yeah. Well, since I won fantasy, don't you read our little kind comment?
I guess I do. Okay, so kind comment on last week's episode from what in the world? What the hue on YouTube says, quote, I was cackling during the whole NASCAR broadcasting silly season segment. Thank you. What the hell?
Do you remember what that was about?
I don't know. I'm getting a
Because
little
last
old.
week we had a compliment about a funny segment. You did not know what
I might have
they
to
were
drop
talking
out of the
about.
presidential race. I don't really remember. I don't know. Yeah, because we were talking about who was going to be the is it going to be Adam Alexander at CW or
We're talking about Marty
where's
Smith.
Rick Allen going? Marty Smith, and maybe or Dale Jr. Steve Letarte, where Steve Letarte's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do remember that.
So yeah,
for once
they were cackling. We're very funny
Good.
guys. So
I'm glad y'all find us funny.
if you'd like us to read a nice comment, you can either leave us 5 stars on Apple with a
You can
written
even ask
review.
us a question.
Yeah, ask us
Why
a
not?
question. We'll answer it.
Question. Why not?
Sure. Or comment on TikTok, YouTube, something nice. We'll read it at the end of an episode. You can also leave us 5 stars on Spotify, like and subscribe here on YouTube. Like I said, support us on Patreon. You can still use GRP217 for 15% off at Homefield Apparel on your first purchase. And you can follow us on socials at Gay Racing Pod, at Dreamy Zack Racing, and at New Gaiden. Though I don't think Zach and I will be posting much these next 2 weeks.
We're going on vacation. We're going on racing vacation. I might be posting iRacing stuff, but honestly, I'm kind of taking a break from iRacing too. I'm kind of
Zach and I are gonna be on Overwatch and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I'm
into my more nerdy video games at the moment. So I don't know, but yeah, we'll be around. We'll see you guys. Everyone enjoy your break. Listen, it'll be. I know 2 weeks without motorsports might be kind of hard, but also it'll just make us appreciate it more when it's back.
And also, I doubt we'll have this at least for a very long time, because in the next Olympics, this new TV contract, the Olympics are going to happen before NBC takes over in the future. Well, so we won't have this break in the future.
I guess.
So enjoy it.
We should have a break like this every year, though. I like it.
Yeah, me too.
It's nice. All right. Well, we will see you guys in a few weeks for a normal episode. For now, keep your eyes peeled for the bonus content. And hope you guys stay safe. Take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Go, guys.